Hi everybody, let's start the second lesson. And in this lesson we will continue to improve our code. Let's note that at first glance you'll think that we excessively load the project with libraries or more universal code, and that's how it seems to work. I'll try to explain that that's not the right idea, because firstly, in these few lines of code we consider the problems that can be in a large similar project, and the second project have a tendency to grow, and then you can forget to write it right and start reinventing the wheel that will eventually have an impact on the number and timing of development. So let's get started. What we will notice in the last lesson was what's inside the function SumSalary is checked dictionaries, and this checking is going on manually and inefficiently. Now we have only two values in the dictionary and one type check. And what if in your case there are 20 or 40 values in the dictionary, and then the check by the if-else method will look in the code is horrible. Let's see on simplified example. I can try to do this. Yes. We saw this is, I think that code is very horrible. But you can often see this code in work of newbies from college, graduates who have just mastered some basic syntax, but so far have not mastered the style guide. So the answer is a popular and generally recommended way to use libraries. As we know, the dictionary in Python easily turns into a JSON object, and for JSON we have a good library, JSON schema, and we'll use it validate method. So let's write it down. From JSON schema, import validate. As we can see, JSON schema is not installed in our project, so let's install it. Go to terminal window. Remember that we should note that we are in a virtual environment, as evidenced by the first word in the command line. If you do not use the PyCharm, don't forget to activate the necessary virtual environment in the current session. Okay, we write a pip install JSON schema. Okay, now we have to create a configuration file for the JSON schema library to work. Let's call it validate SumSalary JSON. Let's remind that the name should be clear, not such name as c.txt, a.txt, etc. So that somebody else and we ourselves, having read our code in 1-2 years, would understand why this file is here and what its function is in the software. Also, I like to note that we called it SumSalary using the procedure name. We will need it further to write a universal procedure of checking these functions. More detail about methods configuration file you can read in the description of the library, and I am going to post the prepared file and comment on to save our time. Okay, the title any header, or if you may have some rules in a company, especially in big IT company, for description of such headers. In the property object there is possible layer keys and their types. Description can be omitted. In the field required, we list the fields that will be checked for presence, and their absence will give out a validation error. The last additional properties set in indicators that in our dict there may be other keys, but we won't check them. If set false, the presence of other keys will cause a validation error. I recommend to install it in false, as it can also protect your code from intruders, from hacking attempts to send something untreated that could cause a software errors. Okay, now let's add the code to our module for checking. And it is better to create a separate module in which we will check our configuration file at once, and then this module can be used for other similar project. So we create a file and name it validator.py. I have already prepared the file to save time. In this file we imported libraries, then we write a memoization class. I specially called him that because memoization is a separate technique that allows you to remember some configuration files to memory, and during the validation we saved time and did not read configuration file from disk. Inside the class we'll organize a dictionary in which we will write various configurations and the procedure. Procedure load, check if there is no such file, name and upload it inside the class, and the same procedure to obtain it. Then a procedure that just connects a third-party library to check according to the setting file and will cause an exception in case of abnormal context of dictionary. We have written this procedure universally to verify other possible procedures according to their setting files. And in the last line we create an instance of the class. Okay, we go back to the modeling after all the preparations and start to change our code. First of all, we can import our memoization class and then write a link inside our function to the validator. Let me notice here that it will be more correct to write a wrapper function, but we don't want to over you with knowledge in this lesson, especially since writing a wrapper isn't always be only one way. Okay, just write this and delete necessary lines. Okay, as you can see, our code look better, and we can check. For this we run, and okay, everything working. And now let's try to change a little bit in the input array, say by substituting the salary in the form of a string, and check again. again, and we see the mistake of our validation made. Okay, that's work. And I think that all for today. I hope you like it, and I hope the main thing is that it will help you feel more confident in your work when writing code on the Python. I'll see you in the other videos. Bye bye.